Alright, the Reds, it's Talking Reds, and it's myself and Rob Gutmann here today to have a big chat. And we've decided we're going to have a big chat about Jürgen Klopp. We know that football is on its way back. We've got some dates now. We've got fixtures in the diary. We're all getting excited about it. We know where we can watch it. Sky have said what matches they've got. BBC have said what matches they're going to get. Yeah, etc., etc. You get the idea. You get the gist. We've got something to cling on to finally. And Rob, I just thought, we've managed to nail down an exclusive interview with Jürgen Klopp. Neil's chatted to him for 20 odd minutes there. It's going to be out on Wednesday at 12 o'clock, both as audio and as video. Obviously, we will be plugging that to death, including on here. But I just thought, before we'll throw a clip in of that and we'll talk about that later because obviously us two have seen it. But I wanted to talk generally just about Jürgen Klopp and about the journey he's taken us on. The facts and figures around it all now are 256 games as manager of Liverpool. Obviously, we won the Champions League. He won FIFA Coach of the Year. We've won the Super Cup. We've won the World Club Cup. We got to other finals. We were flying in the league. He signed a longer contract. I think as well, Rob, and I'm sure you're in agreement on this as well, that as much as it's not something where we were handed a trophy, I've heard you say before that the very fact that we got 97 points, the third highest total in the history of the English top division and the most by a team without actually winning the title, that's got to count for something as well when you're talking about Jürgen Klopp, because that was absolutely brilliant. To bounce back to be where we are now, 25 points clear of City, 29 points clear of Leicester, 34 clear of Chelsea, 37 clear of Manchester United. And also, of course, we had that 44-game unbeaten run in the league, the second longest in top flight history. I could go on, Rob, but I'm going to let you have a say. But you know what I'm saying? When you start reminding yourself of these mad facts and figures about Jürgen Klopp, we did so well to get him, and it's almost turned out just as we wanted, really.
Yeah, it is mad. I mean, if you wind back about 18 months or so, there was still people still talking about, does he have to win something for him to be considered a decent manager? There was talk about whether he was on schedule. He said he'd deliver us a trophy. He was doing okay, but no one was counting on the league when you're up against City and you weren't dreaming of a Champions League win at that stage. So it's not that long, and yet quietly he's delivered us an era. And the era, if nothing else happens, bar the clinching of the league, nothing else happens. This is a golden era, and it's been, you've probably got to say it's been 3 years. I'd say at least 2.5 years. That January when Van Dijk comes in, although it'd been brewing before then, I'd actually say the turning point under Jurgen Klopp is the 4-1 defeat against Spurs. And from that point onwards, Liverpool's points average is ridiculous. It's not far off Man City's post-Christmas after Van Dijk joins the remainder of that season. We get to a Champions League final, having beaten them 3 times in 6 months in that period, which shouldn't be forgotten. So we're in an incredible place, even in Kiev, post-Kiev. Last season, the 97... at the end of the day, you say, well, what does a team have to do to deliver the best season in its history? Win a European Cup and get 97 points? I think it did. I think in terms of its brief, it delivered the greatest season in the club's history. Unfortunately, Man City got 1 more point than us. Yeah. And so therefore, in terms of the technicality of the record, in terms of what you can ask a manager or a set of players to do to deliver that, you can never allow for the fact that a team may freakishly get 108 points or something, as this team might get. You can't allow that. You can only do what you did, and we did it, and we've reprised it with a ridiculous season in the league. So it's just hard to see. It's just hard to see any flaws, and in terms of what the man has delivered, and it has to be the man. The players within it are brilliant footballers, but I know when we look at our, you try and pick a best Liverpool 11 of the last 10 years. You don't always pick all of these lads, right? They're good, and it does remind. I love our front three. They're incredible footballers. They're world top 5 players. It seems mad to be saying what I'm going to next say, but I think Suarez and Gerrard are individually better than any of them possibly. We may come to change our minds. Maybe even Torres is as good as any of them. But they didn't. But those 3 lads I just mentioned did not form part of a composite which has had one of the greatest eras in the club's history in a 2-year spell. They just didn't. And in that sense, this is a team made up of something's bigger than the sum of its parts does remind me of late 70s, early 80s, maybe not to mid 80s Liverpool, which was like that. We were full of teams which the rest of the world wasn't quite recognising how good they were. The Ray Kennedys, the Terry McDermotts, the Jimmy Cases, and Phil Thompsons, and many, many others who were not recognised properly, apart from the fact that people were going, well, they must be good because this team is winning everything. And this feels the same.
Yeah, and obviously the league table, the current league table, all of a sudden becomes incredibly relevant again, and we can all sort of cast eyes on it once more. And I've been doing it in preparation for this chat, and just it bears repeating. Played 29, won 27, drawn 1, lost 1, scored 66, conceded 21, 82 points, still with 9 games to play. It's incredible, Rob, because, you look back across our seasons since we last won the league, and there's been plenty of seasons where you would have snapped hands off to have had 82 points, never mind more. And here we are absolutely ripping it up. And as you say, casting Man City aside, I mean, it's not our concern what they do. They've obviously lost a load of games this season, but, you kind of think, or I think anyway, that some of that is down to the sheer pressure of how good Liverpool are and them knowing they've got to keep that pace. And, they just haven't been able to do it this time around.
No, I think Liverpool have broken them. It was said after like the end of last season, calmed down, got to the summer. Outside of our club, there was beginning to be a talk that we'd overperformed at our 97 points. The 98 point level, because they'd got 100 the year before. It's not an illogical position that people reach. That was the normal. We were the freak, and that we would find our level again this season. People forget what we were up against relative to them. And we had this World Club thing looming. We had the Super Cup. There are a number of things, and we weren't able to, or couldn't, or had decided not to strengthen last summer, whereas they did. So coming into the season, and the bookies made them comfortable favourites.
Yeah.
But our mentality has seen them off, and in fact revealed theirs is a lot more fragile perhaps than people realised. I mean, they'll probably get a respectable points total, a total that might have won the league in another season. Will they get? Yeah, they might get a mid-80s points total still, but even so, it's for them. They are clearly in some sort of decline, and they have a slide to arrest now.
On Klopp as well, I just think the way almost everyone connected to football talks about him, from fans to players to executives to even rivals. There is an incredible respect for the man seemingly everywhere. And it felt to me at the time, going back to when we got him, I thought, yeah, right man, we've gone out and got the best man for the job. That's how it's unfolded. But just all the time, there seems to be like another bit where you're just like, wow, yeah, spot on. And, Andy Robertson this week on Sky Sports did a bit of content with Sky, and he was talking about Klopp, and he said he's the father figure of this training ground, this group of boys. He's here for us in every way, on the pitch, off the pitch, and that's why we're so successful. It's down to him, and long may that continue. He also says, I know it's a work thing, and he's my manager, but we're more than that. We're a family, and that's why we've been so successful. Also, as well, this is an older quote, but Mike Gordon, the lesser spotted president of Fenway Sports, people we rarely see or hear from, he did an interview in January of this year with Sports Illustrated, talking about Klopp, talking about how they got him, and talking about the first conversation he had with him, and knowing straight away this was the perfect choice. And there's a bit of that interview where he says, I spent 30 years as an investor speaking to some of the very best CEOs in the world, and Jürgen is right up there with them. If he wasn't managing a football club, he could be managing a Fortune 500 company. And I think there's something in that, isn't there? There's something about that, you can try and put it down to all different things. And obviously Liverpool have spent some money, and obviously Liverpool have recruited the best in certain positions. But we have got an amazing leader at the very top of the organisation as well.
Yeah, I felt that from the minute he walked through the door. I mean, I'd been a fan. I think a lot of us were. I think that's why there was a real sense of elation when we got him as a fan, the fan base, because we knew we were getting an elite manager, an elite human being who. It's just strange. We judge managers differently to players. regardless of what we can see and how they act and conduct themselves and their decision making, we ultimately only judge them on results. A footballer, Gerrard and Torres and Suarez, can be great players in a team that does fuck all or does modestly. A manager's never allowed to be that, really, despite the fact that he isn't in control of everything. He never can be. He's not in control of the money he gets. He can't be in control of injuries or a player deciding he wants to leave for another club. He can have some influence, but he can't totally control those things. So a player's allowed to be great with that. And I thought there were times, there were murmurings of discontent against Klopp at certain stages. You know, we were falling short in finals. And actually coming into that phase where we leading to the 4-1 defeat at Tottenham, there were murmurings, is he the right man? Is he special? I thought he is clearly special. Whether he can be part, whether Liverpool Football Club, with everything around us, can collide with his specialness and his talent to reach us to a new golden era, I didn't know. I thought, you know, he's special, but he's not God. You know, I think what none of us believed is just how influential the man could be. Because I think you look back on him, for some of the reasons I said before, he hasn't bought. Some people go, oh yeah, but he spent money on Van Dijk and things like that. But he hasn't generally been profligate in the market and surrounded himself with £100 million footballers. He made £100 million footballers. And of course, you know, history has got to say, you know, Mo Salah makes Mo Salah, go from an interesting player into a world-class player. But it's no coincidence that same happens to Mane. Same happens to a young boy, Trent Alexander-Arnold. Same happens to Bobby Firmino. The level at which they all have risen to, even beyond, even you take them outside the context of the club's achievement, is incredible. It's no coincidence. What he has, he's not just an elite manager, he's one of the greatest managers of all time. And it would be nice for Liverpool to collect the trophies to verify that.
Well, as I say, we've got an exclusive 22-minute interview with Jürgen Klopp. Neil Atkinson spoke to him straight after a training session at Melwood over Zoom. We've got a clip for you here. Have a go at the clip, see what you think. We'll be back in a minute to discuss the interview and a bit more on Jürgen Klopp.
I never thought, oh my God, in the year when we can be champions, things like this happen. Maybe it's, again, kind of destiny or whatever. This club went through so many difficult moments in the past. And I think in comparison with them, this is still absolutely doable from a football point of view. Yes, it's not perfect. Of course, it's not perfect. But in the end, if it happens, and we cannot celebrate together, stuff like which is pretty likely. First and foremost, it has to happen because for us, if we wouldn't have played, probably would have been champion. But now we play, so we have to win football games, and we want to win football games. But if it happens, we decide what it means to us. We decide what it means to us here. We decide what it means to us here, and we decide when we celebrate it. And if it's not allowed and not possible in a moment, then we will do it in an appropriate time. And then we will come together with millions and millions of people and we'll celebrate this. And if anybody thinks then, oh, they're a little bit crazy, I don't. I couldn't care less then, because if it will happen, it would have been an absolutely incredible ride with all the things what happened last year, the year before, losing Champions League final, stuff like this, would be absolutely exceptional. And most of the people will never forget this. But a few things to come and a few things to solve in the country and stuff like this. There's so many things but we cannot have no influence in it. How can we influence politics or stuff like this? So how can we need to solve a lot of things. I think we did okay so far as a society, but we have to stay focused. We have to stay disciplined, and then I think there's a chance for all of us, and I hope we see that all the same way, and then we will be fine whenever it will be. We are in the middle of something. We are absolutely in the middle of something. It will be incredibly difficult, like it was this year, incredibly difficult. But there's a chance that we don't need more. But we don't need more. But I don't like now that in this moment that so many people, I understand it, that we think, wow, this year it happens to us, and we cannot celebrate here and cannot celebrate there. Honestly, in life, when I say there are more things to worry about, then I mean it. If people say we cannot play at Anfield because our supporters will go there, come on, we are all adults. We love each other, that's clear. But if it's not allowed, and if that's the only chance that we maybe the play games will not happen, of course we will not show up there.
Yeah.
Of course we will not. We want to win it and not to celebrate it now or yesterday or whatever. We want to celebrate it together. In the moment that's possible, we go again, 100%. With all we have, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 5 million, who cares, will be there. But until then, we stick to the rules, do what is appropriate, and that's all. And then because it's not the last time we will celebrate something together.
So there you go. There is an exclusive interview with Jürgen Klopp that will be out on the Anfield Wrap's tour player tomorrow, Wednesday at 12 o'clock, both as audio and as video. If you subscribe, you will, of course, be able to watch that, listen to that. If you don't subscribe and you fancy having a go, download the Anfield Wrap app on your phone, available on all platforms. You do get some free tokens to have a go of premium content for nothing, to give you a bit of a taster, so you can do it that way round. We would obviously prefer if you actually subscribed and supported what we're doing here. We've carried on all the way through the coronavirus crisis. Obviously, we have now got some football to look forward to, and we'll be ramping up our content accordingly, including, of course, this interview with Jürgen Klopp. You've watched it, Rob. You've heard what he had to say. I mean, there's loads of good stuff in there. You know, the stuff about sort of keeping the players in the right place mentally and physically, the challenge of that. But he sounds very confident that they've been successful in that. I really like the stuff about sort of celebrating the league, you know, and talking about sort of not really giving a shit about what anyone else has got to say about that. Again, brilliant sentiments. But I just generally got a lift, I've got to be honest, from hearing Klopp talking about the side again and the enthusiasm he always has for everything surrounding Liverpool. Yeah,
you got more of the sense that he just thinks this is what's not unfinished business, but we haven't finished by a long shot. What he's doing with Liverpool, the trophy gathering, you could sense that he was looking over the shoulder of the immediate 9 games into next season. Well, Neil asked him very specifically about that, and you could see he was very focused on what was to come, and that what we're going through now is all part of a procedure, without giving away the preparation for next season. He didn't go, you know, he obviously was prepared to talk about the fact that we were quite likely to win the league. I think probably a time of reflection has made him a bit less cautious or superstitious, even as managers are, about saying, oh, we've won it. No, we haven't won it till we've won it. But the odds are over 1,000,000 to 1 against us spilling it now, so he'd be a fool to himself and us to deny anything. But yeah, you did sense the enthusiasm was there and had not waned. And he was a man at peace with the fact that although football isn't the most important thing in the world, and that's been put into stark perspective by the pandemic and the crisis that surrounds it, we're all entitled to look forward to it and to relish it and to remember what an important part it was in our lives and in his lives and the lives of his players.
I just wanted to read you another little quote, Rob. This is an article that was published on October the 8th, 2015, and it said this: by the time Klopp's predecessors have come to appreciate this, the burden of the realization has broken them. No one is the same after Liverpool. I think Klopp knows this. I think that's why he wanted our job. He is a man who will have done his homework. He'll know the history. He will have researched our subcultures and customs, and nothing, though, can fully prepare him for our reality. This is our world now, Jürgen. This is not a drill. We will bury you if you fail us, but win for us and return us to the promised land, not halfway, all the way, and you will truly walk with God. Statues will be erected. Children will be named after you. Hairstyles and leisure wear will be worn in your image. Strap yourself in, lad. It's going to be mad. Enjoy it regardless. That was, I think you've realised yourself, October the 8th, 2015. I just wonder what you made of, you know, what you thought then, what you think now, and as it turned out, as you wanted.
I feel quite emotional hearing that. It took me a couple of lines for you to actually realise what you're reading. I felt quite emotional because I could see a little, it's like going back in time to I can remember what I felt like writing that, feeling, if this doesn't fucking work, nothing will work. Do you know what I mean? So we've got the right man. We've been on so many journeys, so many false dawns, and it felt like we were strapping ourselves into a rocket again. You know, again, but this was one we had quite a lot of faith in, and we were going, come on, it's up to you. Of course, but also I felt like I was talking to him, going, it isn't going to be easy, and it's often horrible. And we'd always joked about, look at the state, God love them, of Houllier and Benitez. Yeah. If you look at photos before and after their reign, and I thought he is letting himself in for that, and he's an optimistic, big personality, but even we can break him, and we haven't broken him. He's broken us. He did it. I think in that interview that came after I'd written that piece about turning us into believers. He has. We're at his mercy. Look at us. We're absolutely at his mercy. We do see him as a god, and I don't think any of us are ashamed to say that now. Yeah. I don't think I predicted anything, but apart from the way I think we would feel, and I think we do feel like that.
I think that there is a thing, and you were touching on it in that piece, that we do sort of, romanticize our managers. We put them on a pedestal. Even, some people will deny it now, but you talk about it in that piece, looking back, for a while we did it with Rodgers. There was plenty of doubters when he arrived, but for sort of half his tenure, really, we were on board. We could see what he was doing. We enjoyed his work. We enjoyed the football. We sang his name, and we were comparing in that song when we sang his name. We're talking about Shankly, and these are the things that sometimes I think people looking in to the sort of the red bubble don't get, and they have a pop at Liverpool and all that. But equally, when you flip it on its head, it is special when it works. And I think, you're right in what you said back then about Jürgen knew all that, and he wanted to embrace that, and he wanted to use that power. And, you think Neil mentions, I think, in the interview, the West Brom draw, scoring the late goal in the West Brom draw, and he brings the players to the Kop, and he got a lot of criticism from national media. He got a lot of criticism from some of the arlasses, basically, who support us, who were like, this is not a Liverpool thing. We don't celebrate a draw. That's a German thing, a Klopp thing. We've got our own culture. We don't want that here. I mean, now it's got to the point where he could do what he liked, and we would go, he's Jurgen Klopp. He can fucking do what he likes.
Yeah, I mean, I remember at the time he did get some stick for that. I felt neutral about it. I mean, I was always in favour and supportive of him. I trusted the enthusiasm I had at the beginning, and I wasn't going to back. Nothing was going to turn. I wasn't turned on by that, but I wasn't turned off. I think now, looking back in hindsight, I understand much. I think we all do understand what he meant by that. I think he was making a point about how the day is never done in football until it's done. He wasn't literally going, you got to play to the last minute, but he was saying, if you do, really it's an important part of the game. Important things happen for you. This is why we are such a big last minute team. And everything that we've seen this season, there's half a dozen big results we've got in the dying embers of games, and they all owe something to him going to the Kop that day in front of the crowd after a poxy 2-2 with West Brom. It's all part of that mindset. He was building it then.
Yeah, so do get on to the interview. As I say, there's loads of other stuff right now as well to get your teeth stuck into. It is the time of year when we're celebrating our European Cup wins this week, of course, celebrating number 6, which we won in Madrid. Loads of content on the Anfield app right now, theanfieldapp.com. Stuff to read, stuff to watch, stuff to listen to. And I do recommend a video that's just gone up today, reliving the parade. We got some excellent footage from that parade thanks to Sam Walkerdine being allowed on one of the open top buses. We thought it was a shame to let some of that footage go to a waste. Ash, one of our lads, has done a fantastic job on a video reliving that parade with some voiceovers from various Anfield rappers. It's lovely, it's nice, it's very emotional. It'll take you back to that time. It'll make you remember what a great side we've got, what a great club we've got, and what a great manager we've got. And the Jurgen Klopp interview will do the same. So good time to get onto the Anfield rap. Rob, nice one for the chat, mate. Appreciate it. That has been Talking Reds. We'll do another one later in the week.